where all of the sections of state, the various operations in the country, are rigidly controlled by the Communist Party. The army, the scientists, they are all enslaved under this communist thought control, the political control. And of course, whether the man is a scientist or a soldier, he is chained to this centralized mass enslavement. And of course, from this peculiar type of setup emanates the ideological attack on our country. We, on the other hand, in an attempt to counter this propaganda attack, attempt from the army, industry, labor, and science to come up with some of the solutions. But as you can see, the Iron Curtain is the main obstacle between the people on both sides of this Iron Curtain.
To us who live in the free world, it is hard to believe that men's minds can be shackled so effectively.
Today, the mass of soldiers and officers in the Soviet Union are found everywhere behind the Iron Curtain. Isn't that true, Sergeant Ritter?
Yes, sir. In communist countries, you see soldiers everywhere, and they are not on leave either. They are on duty. Their duty is to represent the power of the government. Alone their presence is a certain psychological as well as a physical barrier to any opposition movement.
I think there's also another aspect to representing the power of the state, and that is the parades in Soviet Russia. Communists are very good at organizing them. They organize them frequently and on a very large scale, usually. It appeals to the emotions of the people. They see a lot of uniforms, the bands are playing. It's a show of force, a show of apparent unity and enthusiasm in the nation. It's an opportunity for dishing out propaganda at home and giving out a good propaganda impression abroad.
We have some Soviet film footage which shows some of these recent parades. And I think it might be of some interest to you, Sergeant Queen, to see some of these films.
That is the clock on the Kremlin Tower, and this is Red Square. It is May Day. A marshal of the Soviet Army reviews his troops. It is a massive, elaborate demonstration designed solely to impress those at home and abroad with the power of the communist state. At the other end of the communist empire, there are other parades modeled after those you have just seen, designed to achieve the same effect: impress the people with a show of strength, make an excuse for dropping propaganda leaflets. Frighten the people, excite them, impress them with the power of communism. These are their reasons for holding a parade, and they are held very often.
A communist parade certainly is different from what we are familiar with.
Yes, there is much that's different in a communist country, and much that is distasteful to us. And that is, of course, where Large Act personnel come in. These men give us the knowledge which we need to counteract communism worldwide. These men give us the details with which to blunt the ideological attack of communism on our country.
I can readily appreciate the value of this program.
Yes, Sergeant Queen, and I believe that as time goes on and there is a better understanding of the program, we will even enhance its value. We've had statements from Ambassador Lodge recently, who feels that the fight against communism is one in which we may expect not only support from those people who have fled from communist-dominated countries, but of countless others who cannot breach the wall of communism. And General Dahlquist, who is the Chief of Army Field Forces of Fort Monroe, Virginia, who feels that it is gratifying to note that these stateless citizens, most of whom come from countries behind the Iron Curtain, have volunteered to serve 5 years in the United States Army to qualify for U.S. citizenship. He feels that this is a history-making program.
Colonel Hartel, you and your men have given us a very clear picture of the soldier behind the Iron Curtain. I can readily see how men like yourselves, with first-hand knowledge of communism, are invaluable assets to our Army. We are proud to have you on our side, and I want to thank you all for being on the big picture. And so, these men who have lived under communism and who have rejected it are today American soldiers, frontline fighters in this ideological conflict for the minds of men called the Cold War. Now, this is Sergeant Stuart Queen, inviting you to be with us next week when we'll take another look at our Army in action on the big picture.
The Big Picture is a weekly television report to the nation on the activities of the Army at home and overseas. Produced by the Signal Corps Pictorial Center. Presented by the U.S. Army in cooperation with this station. You can be an important part of the big picture. You can proudly serve with the best equipped, the best trained, the best fighting team in the world today, the United States Army.